Welcome to episode 50 of the Brew Crew Scoop. Opening day is come and gone. Home opener is come and gone. 10 games of the season. Brewers are sitting at 500 after a really rough start to the season. So, when I say really rough, I mean just the beginning. So, um, we'll talk about it. But immediate reactions, how are you guys feeling after starting 0-4 and giving up 300 runs in 4 games and then turning it around?
Uh, I feel great right now. I feel pretty normal, pretty neutral. I mean, I'm not too hyped. Obviously, we have our issues, which is highlighted by the move we made this morning. So I'm happy, but I'd like to see some of the guys that are on the IL take the mound and actually pitch instead of having to have Chad Patrick and whoever the hell else we have
Jake
that we
Bowers.
throw out there. Alvin Rodriguez. I mean, he's absolutely horrible. Um, so the less we can see of him, the better.
Yeah. Happy we weren't one of the people overreacting on social media because there's no shortage of that in Brewers Twitter. Still, based off today's news, same thing. So, yeah, it happens. It's baseball. If you're gonna lose, same amount of losses for a 12-run loss or 1-run loss. So at least we didn't blow through too many arms in that first series, really, because Jake Bowers was just eating innings.
Yeah. Jake Bowers is 2 outings away from relief pitcher eligibility in ESPN fantasy baseball.
Yeah,
So
he also I think has equal. He has .2 WAR, and half of it's from his pitching, and half of it's from his hitting. So
that's
and
awesome.
fielding. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll do the weekly recap really quick because
Wait, we have to talk about the torpedo bats.
yeah, I was gonna
I'm just
say
kidding. I'm
the
so
Brewers were in
happy
the
we
national
don't.
media for a week, which is very rare. But so I think everyone knows what's going on. But torpedo bats in a sweep. I think maybe the Yankees had a tip on Nestor or something. But tough sweep there. Unfortunately, carried into the home opener after a beautiful tribute to Bob Uecker on the home opener on Monday. And then they decided to get fucking railed in the game. So that was interesting. 0-4 to start, but then they turned it around. They won the next two against the Royals, and then they took 3 out of 4 against the Reds. 5-2 homestand to get back to 500. The pitching ended up looking pretty solid after those first 4 games. Cortez had a nice start, but unfortunately, then he ended up on the IL. Savali ended up on the IL as well. We'll talk about the injuries and transactions, but so pitching is literally Freddie Peralta in the bullpen, and that's it. So. We'll get back to the hot hitter and untouchable pitcher again, but real quick, it ties in. So the Brewers got Quinn Priester, former first round pick in 2019, 18th overall by the Pirates. He's had just a little bit of time in the major leagues, about 100 innings, and it has not been great. Um, but he's got good stuff. So that's the desperate move. Some are talking about the return. Yofiri Rodriguez is 19. He's had some good numbers in the low levels of the minors, and then essentially an end of the first round pick, a comp A pick that they're sending over, and then maybe cash or a player to be named later. So it's a desperate time, but also Priester's 6 years of service, or not 6 years of service, 6 years of control left. So wondering what you guys think about the move and if it was worth it or was this too desperate?
I can go first, Kian. I like it honestly. I don't love the comp A pick as well, just because we've shown we know how to use that pool money in drafts well, but we still have a preth. Okay, I guess I can't talk. I'm a little under the weather today. We still have a lot of picks in the next upcoming draft in the
We
top
have a
there.
placenta of picks. Is that what you're trying to say? Yeah.
Yeah, you read my mind.
Oh, got it.
But no, Priester is already used, obviously an option this year, so we can bounce him around um, as needed. He's a guy that was highly touted at one time. He's got a real nice sinker kind of curve changeup combo, and I think he's maybe thrown like a some other stuff throughout his career. I'm sure now that he's in a Brewers uniform, he'll learn how to throw a cutter. Um, but yeah, I like it. He's like an over 50% ground ball guy. We are a team gold glove, so I think he'll play, and we simply need arms. So it was either Scoop or Priester. So I'm happy with Priester.
Yeah.
I like this move. I was at the gym when this broke, so in between sets, I'm just reading Twitter, and I won't name the names, but you guys know who we're talking about. A little overreaction. It's the same people who tend to always overreact. But when you really think about it, they dealt from a source of depth. Their outfield minor league depth is great, as well as their major league, depth is great, and those guys are controllable for many, many years. Not saying Rodriguez isn't like on the doorstep, but high A ball, he could be in the majors within the next 2 years. We have everybody who's on our roster, pretty sure that's an outfielder. The four youngsters of Mitchell, Frelick, Chourio, and then obviously Christian Yelich for more than those 2 years. So dealing from a place of depth, okay, you might have overspent in that aspect. And then I look at the comp A pick that they sent. You're getting 6 years of service control for a guy who's already major league ready. Um, I don't look at it as much as an overpay because you could pick somebody who could stall out in double A. The picks are always random. They got a guy that they clearly liked. So I don't mind, I guess, what the
Yeah.
return for Boston was.
To Cole's point earlier too, he said that it hurts almost as much just to give up the slot value. I think the slot
Yeah.
value of that pick was 2.7 million. But yeah, you make a good point there. Yo Fury is 19 and in high A, and who knows, he may never make it to the major leagues, and a pick number 34 may not turn out to be anything. So, um,
And
but
if
yeah,
I don't mind, the
I
last
per
thing I had to say is the people who are overreacting on Brewers Twitter were saying that we weren't making any moves and that was a problem. And then we make a move and it's using the wrong stuff within the organization, whether it's picks or depth. I mean, at some point to
yeah,
get better, you got to give up, better players.
and you can't prospect hug all the time. I get you shouldn't just blow the farm, but sometimes you have to take a little risk when it comes to prospects. And
I think this was a
um,
good risk, in my opinion.
yeah, I do. We'll see how it plays out. I think the 6 years is key. I mean, it's Priester was a first round pick 6 years ago now, so I've like figured it was going to be a couple years of control. 6 years of control is actually crazy. So, all right. Well, I gotta ask you guys, who is your hot hitter of the week?
Oh, stop dropping on fire, Ricky Bobby! I'm on fire! He's so hot right now.
I'll take this one first. I hope you don't have the same one, but it's Sal Frelick for me. Um, the guy is just electric. I think I saw today. I wish I would have screenshot it. The Brewers posted over the first, 10 games or whatever. He's like seventh in hits in major leagues, and he's tied for like ninth in WAR. I mean, the guy is just he's taking that quantum leap that you know is so famous in the Brewers lore. So he's definitely the hot hitter for the week. But I would also go with Bryce Turang as well. I mean, two bombs for the guy. Good for him. So I would go Cole. I hope that's who Cole was going to pick, but Sal Frelick, obviously, the summer of Sal is coming to a city near you.
Yeah, I had those two guys outlined, and then luckily for Jackson Chourio, we waited to record, and he's now bumped up all of his hitting stats just yesterday. So I Sal on paper is the best statistically, but I really like what Turang's done this year. Just kind of swinging a little harder. It seems like he's got a little more pop. He's still making good contact, and he won us a game on a bunt. So if you have two home runs and a bunt to win a game over a span, you've demonstrated you can do everything there is to do at the plate. Plus, he's obviously still got the wheels. So
Yeah,
um,
you guys
10
hit all
runs, 11
three.
RBI, Bryce Turang.
You guys hit all three of them on the head for sure. But I also want to just give a little shout out to Eric Haas. The man just he seems to just come up and have a clutch hit when we need one. Every when it's not very often that he plays. I guess this year he's actually caught a couple games, but over the 2 years here, it's not very often that he's been playing for the major league club, and a lot of times when he does, he has a big hit, and um, seemingly we'll talk about it in a little bit. Seemingly he may be the better pitch caller or possibly pitch framer as well. So I don't know. We'll see. But him and Chad Patrick have worked well together twice now, and yeah, Chad looked really good. So, but we'll talk about that right after our untouchable pitcher of the week.
You fellas are untouchable. Is that the thing? No one can get to you?
For me, I'll go with obviously the guy you just mentioned, just for personal reasons of Chad Patrick. Just not electric stuff. He works the fastball and the cutter off each other, which is tales old as time. And even with his outing in New York, where he didn't do too hot, he still has a 2.45 ERA, which is great. I mean, talk about surprising depth. And I guess it's kind of a position where if he would have done bad, it would have been like, oh yeah, okay, that was kind of expected. But he's my hot pitcher just because of the expectations weren't so high, and yet he's doing really well.
Yeah, I obviously had him written down as well. I'd say Freddie was really, really good in that game against Dragons to get that win against the Royals. That was big. But I will actually give it to Abner Uribe just because we got the cowboy back there. He went 4 2/3, 0 earned, 5 Ks, no walks, just a couple hits given up, and he looks back to what we thought he was going to be at the start of last year, and that suspension's gone. So, we got Abner.
I just want to give a little shout out to Trevor McGill. I like him in the closer role. Obviously, Devin Williams is going to be hard to replace, but McGill's looked pretty good. So
you can replace him in the aggregate.
Not surprised that McGill's look good either. So, but I want to. What's
before
that?
we move on real quick,
Yeah.
I do have the correct numbers for Sal that I saw. So I was right. He's tied for 7th in WAR in NL players, but he's actually tied for 2nd in hits, which is something that I did not know. His average is also tied for 2nd. On base percentage is 6th, and then his OPS is tied for 24th. So all I'm hearing is that Sal Frelick is a top 25 player in Major League Baseball. So.
And playing his balls off in the outfield, too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's got to be my grandpa's favorite player.
Yeah,
for sure.
for real. All right, so one of the underlying topics of the first week and a half of the season, and maybe was briefly mentioned last year at times, would be William Contreras. And so I'd say his first year with the Brewers, he was like one of their catching darlings, where they got the pitch framing up, and he looked pretty good because he was not really a great defensive catcher. Well, last year it seemed like he kind of regressed a little bit on pitch framing, at least by the eye test, which is one thing. But I think the bigger thing that's been mentioned is his usage of the fastball. So as a pitch caller, so I'd have to imagine in this day and age it's a little bit harder to shake off with the pitch clock, but I wonder how much is actually Contreras, and I wonder how much is actually the coaching staff or the nerds in the front office. But I had a quote from Elvin Rodriguez, the guy who got beat up pretty good twice, and he said they asked him about his tough starts, and he said, "In Japan, I just pitched a little bit more free. What I did over there just mixed all my pitches. I don't feel I felt completely myself as a pitcher out there today. Just kind of missing the feeling of being a little bit more free out there, using all my pitches." So it seemed like he was trying to really directly say there's too many fastballs being called. And I don't know if that's Contreras or not, but I don't have good numbers for you outside of that. But it has seemed like some guys are just relying on fastball only for first few innings, with the exception of, I want to say Freddie it was. I can't remember. There's one guy when I was looking at the numbers of the starters that weren't. So curious to hear what you guys think if you're seeing the same thing I am.
I definitely have seen the fastball usage and everything, but I don't think that it's squarely on Contreras. I mean, we've all heard pitching lab go burr. There's a reason behind everything they do, and obviously Contreras is the one making the calls, but you think if they were going through multiple starts where things weren't working or they weren't going to their plan, they would go, hey, here's your percentage of called fastballs. Let's switch it up this time. They're looking at the numbers. Clearly what he's doing is their plan. I don't know how you can just look at Contreras, and it's been at least a year, and then, at least, 8 or 9 games. I don't know how many he's caught of data, and he's doing the same thing over and over again. If it was a problem within the organization, I think they would have said something by now. I think it's just what we are And I think it just happens that Eric Haas is not catching during these huge blow up outings. And I think it's just one of those things where you're looking for something to go wrong, and you find it, sadly. But I don't think it's Contreras. I think it's a front office.
Yeah, I think last year I was listening to Microbrew and I believe they said we clearly led in like fastballs called last year too. And obviously Contreras was the catcher for most of those games, but yeah, I don't think he's just walking out there and ignoring total game plans. Otherwise, he's got quite the set of balls, which him and his brother, I think, have kind of shown they do, but I don't think he's doing that. So yeah, I think it's just kind of or an organizational philosophy, and on top of it, we're talking about a pitcher who is struggling in Rodriguez and probably getting used to like the new asks from the organization versus what he was doing in I think he was in Japan last year, right? Or Korea.
Yep.
Yeah, Japan.
Yeah, Japan.
So I think that's probably it. And obviously it's his product has not been very good yet, so it might be a mix of things. But yeah, I'm not gonna start worrying too much about Contreras.
Unfortunately, it's overlapped at the beginning of the year with him being maybe the cold hitter of the week if we had that segment. Him and Christian Yelich hasn't looked too hot either. So a little bit of frustration with Contreras at the exact moment. So but yeah, we'll see. We'll see what comes of it. It's tough when your starting rotation is literally just a shell of itself. So which leads us right to the transactions and injury section of the podcast. We already talked about the bigger of the two trades. Also, the second trade was Grant Wolfram went over to the Orioles for Mike Cameron's son, Das Cameron. Kind of a cool move, but probably doesn't actually really amount to much for us, just clearing a roster space. So then talking the injuries that I mentioned, Nestor Cortez with an elbow flexor strain could end up being more concerning. Savali with a hammy, he may end up being the odd man out at some point. Hopefully, if we're hopefully healthy.
Probably because he's fat.
You said it.
I mean, we were all thinking it. I mean,
He's
I'm not gonna lie,
Wisconsin thick.
when
compare
we
him to 3 years ago.
when we got him, I guess I hadn't been watching enough like Rays baseball, and I just was like, I thought he was skinnier, and then I Googled him on the um Guardians, and he did look quite a bit skinnier. So hopefully that doesn't have anything to do with the hamstring injury. But yeah, hopefully Nick Mears is back in the next couple days, and Jose Quintana. They're both eligible to be back, I think, in the next 2 days. So hopefully get them both back. And then Tobias Myers, it sounded like the last update was he wouldn't be too much longer either. So and then Woody still at least another month. It sounds like probably more. So
Well,
that's where we're at.
Woody is that he's going. Isn't he going to do a 30-day minor league rehab assignment in Nashville?
Yeah, that's
There you go. I don't know. Last I heard, I thought they said no sooner than mid-May, right?
I do think that I saw he was being assigned for a minor league start though. So yeah, it's probably a real gradual build up, I
Nice.
guess. Catch him on Broadway.
And unless I missed anything, I'll go around the farm.
If it hadn't been for those meddling kids. If it hadn't been for you meddling kids. Ah, meddling kids. If it hadn't been for these meddling laddies.
Now that this is back too. I just wanted to give two shout outs personally, and then I'll let you guys take the rest. Manuel Rodriguez, picking up where we left off last year. We just invent new pitchers every week, it seems, in the minor leagues, which is just awesome. But Manuel Rodriguez of the Wisconsin Timber Rattlers struck out 11 in his opening day start for the Timber Rattlers. And then Josh Adamczewski, the 2023 15th rounder of the Brewers. His opening series, he had 2 triples, a homer, a walk-off single, 3 walks, and 4 RBI. So pretty cool. He took home the Carolina League Player of the Week for the Mudcats with a 1,700 OPS in the week. But those are mine. Anyone else?
I guess I'll go. I'm sure Cole's got to just plethora, or I should say placenta things to talk about. So one of mine is Blake Burke went yard, and it was just an absolute tank job. I believe that was yesterday or maybe Saturday. And then it kind of leads into what you were talking about. Manuel Rodriguez took over for Yafari on the Brewers' top 30 prospects for MLB Pipeline. So I
That was
used
timely.
to hawk the Pipeline websites, but I think that's pretty cool. He's only 19, so lots of room to grow.
Yep, and then I saw, I believe, Braylon Payne hit a home run, so love to see that. Hopefully, he can slot right in where Yoefri Rodriguez was and just be the next young outfield stud. And then I think Caleb Durbin also had a home run, I believe, and he's been getting a lot of reps.
I saw a couple, I think, from so far this
Yeah.
year. Yeah.
So, and I know some of Brewers' Twitter has quite the hot seat under a fan favorite over at third base, Oliver Dunn. So there's a chance maybe we see that at some point relatively soon. And then I think Carlos F. Rodriguez had a pretty solid. He's had 2 starts. He's got a 1 earned run or an ERA of 1. And I believe he was up here. He was seen in the clubhouse and then
Yeah.
wasn't activated. And I'm sure he went back. But Miz also 8.2 innings pitched, 0 earned. I don't see Yoho, and I don't have to. I know he's a stud, so we should probably just bring him up, him and Miz, maybe like every time we talk, and maybe the Brewers would kind of just have to bring him up with all this Brooklyn
It is
scoop hype.
crazy. I get it. You need to worry about 40 man and clocks and stuff, but it is kind of crazy how thin we are, and we haven't seen Rodriguez, Mizorowski,
I really would have thought we would have saw
Henderson.
Rodriguez, but
Yeah, Henderson. So I don't know. It's I just saw because we were about to do MLB news anyways. I just saw it's the 5th inning and Shohei Ohtani needs a double for the cycle. Good thing I'm playing against him in fantasy right now. Love that. Shohei Ohtani's insane. It's unbelievable. But he actually might be the reason why this next guy got overpaid, in my opinion. Vladimir Guerrero Jr., $500 million, 14 years.
did you hear that,
I
Kyle Tucker? Did
I
you hear
actually
that?
think you can blame Juan Soto for Vladdy getting overpaid, not actually Ohtani. I can't
I'm gonna
believe that
blame
someone.
Vlad Senior.
Yeah, I can't believe someone got more than Ohtani right after Ohtani. Like it's like they forgot that Ohtani is two players in one. But yeah, Vlad Guerrero Jr. got 500 million. It seemed inevitable they were going to get a deal done, and it seemed like Vladdy was not budging on that first number being a 5. What do you guys think?
I don't hate it. I obviously you like it for him, but for the Blue Jays, I mean, he'll be there until he's 40. I think this is a cool, like, if you're a Blue Jays fan, this is cool. I mean, if you're an analytics nerd, it's not as cool. But if you're just a Blue Jays fan, imagine being like 10 years old and you're like, oh my God, Vladdy's going to be here until I'm 24. Like, that's pretty fucking cool, in my opinion. I always like seeing, guys that stay home or are there for 18 years out of their career. I always think that's pretty cool. We obviously have our own in Robin Yount, and Bronny was here for a good 13, 14 years. So those are the players you talk about when you think of like a Mount Rushmore for a franchise. And I saw a tweet and it was like, by the end of this contract, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is almost like a lock for leading the Blue Jays organization in WAR. So that'll be cool. He'll literally be known as the best Blue Jays player ever. So good for him, good for the Blue Jays. And I'd love to see the structure of the contract. If it's kind of like Bryce Harper, where it's, just 35 point, whatever, 7 million straight up, or if there's escalators, so it starts lower. And then every year that, obviously teams spend more money over 14 years. But this could look like a steal in like 10 years, kind of how Yelich's deal-ish looks like a steal if he stays healthy. But I'm sure you're going to be paying $35 million at some point for a DH. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I mean, I think you kind of hit it on the head. The Blue Jays have tried to bring names in, haven't always got them, so they at least got their guy with any deal, the two sides have to agree to it. So both of them were consenting there. So, yeah, he's not an all around 5 tool player, right? But he definitely can hit. And I think he probably will age okay. It's not like he's going to lose speed throughout his career or anything like that. So he probably still will have an ability to put bat to ball, kind of like his dad. He was good for a long time. So, yeah, he's definitely not the best defending first baseman, but if he can play there for a while, move to DH, he'll be all right. And yeah, he technically was born in Canada, so um, the Canadians got to keep one of their own. So yeah, it's cool. I'm not worried about the Brewers paying anyone 500 mil soon, so that's the Blue Jays' problem, not ours.
Yep. All right. Final thoughts slash anything else I missed from MLB. I just wanted to give one formal welcome to Arian Foster to the Brewers
Yeah,
fan base. So that was a pretty cool video of him picking the team and learning about the logo and being like, hell yeah, and then tweeting like a lifelong fan. Nothing
yep.
like seeing Arian Foster tweet Eric Haas with the next one. Like, so that was cool.
Yeah, the team tested him out too to see if he was a true one because we looked terrible for those first couple, but he's
Yeah.
sticking through it.
He could have
Maybe,
turned into Kato Kalin real fast,
yeah.
but
Well, hopefully not.
I hope
Uh,
we never mention that name on this podcast again, but
dude,
I
you know
agree.
what? I watched an OJ documentary recently,
And
and
he's
Kato,
in them
I've
all.
never heard him talk before, like besides the trial, like on stand. I've never heard him just like he's like sounded like a normal human being. I always imagined him being like the most whiny, annoying person. And this dude was just normal. I could not believe that. So, anyways, carry on.
He puts on a show for the shows. Come on
I
now.
guess for Twitter, I'm saying he was way
Let's
worse.
hope he's
But
not our best listener because he'd be really pissed right now.
yeah, sorry, Kato.
I can go
You
next. I want to shout out Shane Smith, uh, guy we gave up in the Rule 5, who went first to the White Sox, and then we took Connor Thomas, and we have seen Connor Thomas the last few days. I'll be patient because I'm not gonna overreact. Coach Keane will not be patient.
Dude
Yeah,
blows.
I would just say I'd rather have Shane Smith right now. He looked really good in his start for the White Sox. He threw an absolutely disgusting, like 90-mile-an-hour changeup, airbender of sort. He was sitting like 95 plus on his fastball and then still has a slider. And we currently are really struggling to find anyone to take the ball and start the game for us. So I'm going to just give Shane Smith a shout out and be patient until I say we messed that one up. But
I guess my one final thought would be I am so excited to see this first Quinn Priester start.
Yeah, I am too, actually. I wonder when that'll be. Yeah, think he'll prove us wrong.
oh wait, I didn't get to keep talking about Kyle Tucker when we
Us
talked
as
about
Brewers
Vlad
fans, I
Jr.
mean.
Freaking
Yeah.
Kyle Tucker. Did you see his comment today? Basically said
Uh,
oh, that's good for him. He clearly wanted to be there. I'm currently a Cub, but everyone has their own like desires, basically. I don't know. He's definitely gonna get a bag, and I really hope it's not with the Cubs, because that'd be funny. Um,
The
I was
Red
thinking about that
Sox.
today when I was like thinking through that trade. It's like, what did the Cubs have to win a World Series to rationalize the trade? Or like, if he's good and even if they make the playoffs and don't do anything, you traded for 1 year of a guy. I don't know.
The Orioles and Corbin Burns.
Yeah,
They didn't do shit.
yeah.
And then they let him walk to Arizona.
He got a bag though.
Yeah, he did. Well, I'm interested to see if the Orioles fans, I haven't asked or heard any of them complain about it, if they think that trade was a wash or if they lost it because they didn't do anything with it.
Yeah, I think it'll take time though. I mean, Ortiz
Depends on
still
how good
has to
Ortiz and
prove,
Hall
and
are.
DL
Yeah.
Hall has to get healthy. But
Who
I
do we
wonder
pick
where
with
he's
that?
at. That would have been Burke.
Yeah,
But
it
the
was Burke.
thing is, like, it's hard to gauge. Again, like the whole draft changes because we got the comp pick because of slot values and steals later on and so on. So, yeah, we'll see.
And I'll
Quinn
say that
Priester.
the Corbin Burns did pitch well in the postseason for the Orioles, so I'll
Yeah,
give him that.
he wasn't the problem.
Quinn Priester threw 4 innings on April 3rd uh, for the Woo
Triple A.
Sox. So
Yeah.
that would mean 5 days after that would be tomorrow, aka the day this podcast is dropping. But I think they already had announced
Freddie's
that.
going tomorrow.
Yeah, okay. So Freddie, and then there was a gap for one of the next two games. So that's probably
On ESPN at least, which is not my reputable sports data of choice, but it has Freddie blank blank, Rodriguez again, and then blank. Oh, we get to face Corbin if all goes well on Saturday,
all right.
and then Zach Gallen.
Oof.
There's nothing like starting your first game with a new team at Coors Field.
You know,
Yeah.
at least the Rockies aren't good.
Ground
Could
ball
be
pitcher,
worse.
baby. Ground
You
balls.
say that, and I'm going to clip that when he gives up 14 runs in 3
Yeah.
innings.
Yeah.
It's possible.
I hope that's not the case, but
All right. Well, Quinn Priest is a Brewer. Your Milwaukee Brewers have won 5 of their last 6. That's a good way to put it. And we need to get that starting rotation healthy. But once they do, this is a good looking baseball team. So that's
We
all
need
I
the big
got.
dogs to eat. Big dogs need to eat.
Correct. Correct. So, all right. Thanks for listening. Go Brewers.
go Brewers.
The Brewers.